Hi, my name is Beth.
And I'm Missy, and we're from the Creative Education Foundation.
Deliberate creativity training helps you be a more flexible thinker. The Creative Education Foundation teaches you a mindset that breaks down old habits. We are quick to jump to our first idea or solution, but pushing for more ideas gives us better options. Once you understand why this is true and learn how to do that, it's easier to create space for this and to practice behaving this way.
Deliberate creativity training gives you useful tools to use. For example, when you're building a chair, you use a hammer because a hammer helps you do something that you can't do with your hands alone. So creativity tools help you build better thoughts and plans, and that leads to better engagement and better results.
Deliberate creativity training helps you help your students. Understanding the innovative process helps you see where you are and where you need to go, whether you're a teacher, a coach, parent, or a student. The Creative Education Foundation gives you a map and tools so that you can achieve this easier and faster.
Creative Education Foundation can provide professional development training from an hour-long to a multi-day engagement. Check out our website at www.creativeeducationfoundation.org for more information. Thanks so much. Hi, my name is Missy Carvin.
And I'm Beth Slazak, and we're with the Creative Education Foundation presenting the series, How to Ideate.
Today's video is all about statement starters.
A statement starter is a phrase that turns a complaint or even a statement into a question. We do this by using invitational language stems, something that you tag on to the front. So you could have, it would be great if, or I wish, or how to, or even in what ways might I?
So let's give you some examples. You might want to start with a statement such as, I have no time for hobbies. But that doesn't really invite any fresh thinking. So we're going to turn it into a question by asking, how might I find more time to relax? Or what might be all the ways to entertain myself? Another statement might be, I want to exercise more. But again, we want to turn it into a question so that we start to come up with new ideas. What might be all the ways to get more exercise? Or in what ways might I become more fit? And I don't know about you, but lately I've been saying my house is a mess, which has not solved the problem. So I might need to turn it into a question such as, in what ways might I have a neater living environment? Or how might I make cleaning easier?
So let's talk about why statement starters are useful. First, a question begs to be answered. Doing this triggers a cognitive bias we have. If we hear a question, we want to try to figure out the answer to it. It also turns thoughts and complaints into forward-thinking action, something you can actually do. It opens up for many possibilities. If you hear what might be all of the things, then you realize that it takes more than one. And inside those many possibilities might be the right one. And finally, it puts you in the driver's seat. So instead of your challenge driving you, you are steering where your challenge goes.
So when do we use statement starters? Frankly, anytime we need fresh thinking, anytime we're facing a specific challenge, but also when we want to spark creative thinking in other people.
You can also use statement starters in these situations. When you or your students feel stuck or in a thought rut. When you want to model good behaviors rather than solving problems for someone else. Or when you want somebody to feel agency over their challenge.
So a quick reminder, a statement starter is a phrase that turns a complaint or statement into a question. We also call these invitational language stems. They pretty much mean the same thing. It's the phrase that you put at the beginning to turn your challenge into a question.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been produced by the Creative Education Foundation in conjunction with the Chicago Student Invention Convention. If you have any questions, you can look at our websites, www.creativeeducationfoundation.org or www.chicagoinnovation.com.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Missy Carvin.
And I'm Beth Slazak, and we're with the Creative Education Foundation. Welcome to our How to Ideate series.
Today's video is all about the idea box. The idea box is simply a tool to come up with new ideas. We think it's very powerful, and we'll show you how it works.
You start with a challenge. We want names for the products in our fantasy themed cookie factory. Then you pick the items that are at the crux of the matter. So we knew we needed sweet things, fantastic creatures, and of course it's a cookie factory, so happy words. Then step 3, you just make a synonym list for each item. So for sweet things, you have things like cookies and crumpets and snickerdoodles. For fantastic creatures, you've got fairies and dragons and hobbits. And for happy words, we had splendiferous and ginormous and alakazam. And then step 4, you simply mix and match to create new ideas. So we ended up with the mermaid splendiferous snickerdoodles and the ginormous dragon sugar bombs, or the hobbit honey bears for snuggling.
Here's why we think the idea box is really a useful tool. It helps to look beyond the obvious, find new connections, get real specificity in your ideas so that they're not big amorphous blobs, and unstick your stickiness.
When do we use the idea box? Well, when we're stuck in the weeds of the problem, maybe can't see the forest for the trees, or when problems are feeling boring or we're in a thought rut. And finally, when we need lots of new ideas.
This is a very powerful tool, and you can also use the idea box in these situations. Learning about parts of speech, think noun, verb, adjective sets, and have students put those together in new and interesting ways. Any type of new product generation, whether that's actual products or services or pretty much any new invention. And in creative writing, when you want to add interest and embellishment to a story that's already in progress.
So the idea box is a tool to come up with new ideas. You just simply pick one from each column and you've got something original.
Thank you so much for watching today. This video was produced by the Creative Education Foundation in conjunction with the Chicago Student Invention Convention. You can find out more about each organization at our websites, www.creativeeducationfoundation.org and www.chicagoinnovation.com. Our emails are here on the screen. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Missy Carvin.
And I'm Beth Slazak, and we're with the Creative Education Foundation. And this is part of our How to Ideate series.
Today's video is all about the tool Forced Connections.
Forced Connections is simply a tool to break open old thinking patterns. It helps you get unstuck by forcing a connection between what you need to do and something else entirely unrelated. You simply ponder that unrelated item or picture, think about different characteristics that it has, and ask yourself, what ideas do I get for solving this from those characteristics?
So here's how it looks. Start out by defining your challenge. In our case, we're going to talk about how might I have less trouble going to sleep. And if you watched our video on statement starters, you'll recognize that how might I is some invitational language that we can use to make our challenges into questions. So how might I have less trouble going to sleep? Step 2 is to look at an image that is unrelated to your challenge. We have this lovely beach shot. Step 3, think about 5 qualities about the image that you can come up with. So in our case, we had blue, cool, swooshy, rocky, wet, and protected. Now that we have these concepts and these qualities, we can apply those qualities to our challenge. So for example, might get a blue light filter from the word blue. That would inspire a blue light filter to help brain shut down at the end of the night. Or I might play wave sounds to relax from that swooshy sound, or check out those cooling sheets that Facebook has been trying to sell me. Or I might get a better pillow that doesn't feel like a rock. All of these solutions come from the qualities of the image that we identified.
Here's why forced connections is a useful tool. It helps you borrow from other worlds. That's where we see innovation happening, with mashups. You incubate on your challenge while thinking about the unrelated image, and the power of incubation is wildly underused and very helpful. It helps you make connections between ideas, and of course, it helps you go for wild ideas.
So when do we use forced connections? Usually we're feeling a little panicky because it's hard to come up with new ideas. Or else when our ideas need to be fresh and shiny and what we're coming up with isn't. Or when we need to break through that same old thinking.
You can always use forced connections in these situations. If you need to add more detail or alternatives to an existing idea, if your brain feels stuck and you're trying to add more information, like on a writing project, or when you need to come up with new ideas fast.
So remember, forced connections is a tool to break open old thinking patterns. You get unstuck by forcing that connection between your challenge and something completely unrelated. So go out and make those connections.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been produced by the Creative Education Foundation in conjunction with the Chicago Student Invention Convention. If you have any more information that you need, you can check out our websites at www.creativeeducationfoundation.org or www.chicagoinnovation.com. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Missy Carvin.
And I'm Beth Slazak.
And today's video is CEF Presents Targeting. This is part of the How to Make Decisions series produced by the Chicago Student Invention Convention and the Creative Education Foundation.
Targeting is a tool that helps find ideas that get you closer to your goal. This comes after you've come up with a lot of ideas around your goal.
So to do the targeting tool, step 1 is draw a target where everyone can see it. Step 2, write the goal in the center of the target. Step 3, put your ideas on the target to show how close or far they are from the goal. And a bonus is you can use this tool to improve ideas that aren't initially very close to the goal.
Here's why targeting is useful. You have lots of ideas and you need to choose the ones that really fit and fit best. You want to compare the current state to your goal. You want to see the path to your results a little better. Or you want to clarify what needs to happen to actually reach your goal.
So when do we use targeting? When we want to improve ideas, we want to move them closer to the end goal. When our path is cluttered with lots of ideas, or when we need to see which ideas are the best, the ones that are already closest to the goal.
You can also use targeting in these situations. If you're coming up with steps for a new process, or you need to understand if the end goal is really what you want, or when you need to justify why an idea is the wrong one to move forward on.
So targeting is a tool to find ideas that bring you closer to your goal.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been produced by the Creative Education Foundation Incorporated in conjunction with the Chicago Student Invention Convention. If you'd like to reach either organizations, you can find them at www.creativeeducationfoundation.org or www.chicagoinvention.com. If you would like to contact either Missy or I, you can see our emails there on the screen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth Slazak.
And I'm Missy Carvin.
And this is CEF Presents The Progress Tree, part of our How to Make Decisions series, sponsored by the Chicago Student Invention Convention and the Creative Education Foundation.
The progress tree is a tool that helps you figure out the steps to take to reach your goal. So it's important to know you use this tool after you know what your goal is.
Step one is simply draw the outline of a big tree. Step two, write what you want to accomplish, your end goal at the top. Then just fill a bunch of Post-its with all of the steps that you need to accomplish that goal. And finally, start placing those relative to how early or late in the process they should appear.
Here's why the progress tree is useful. It's useful when your goal spawns a lot of ideas that you're going to need to work with to reach that goal. When you're trying to organize lots of related ideas around one central theme. When you need to align steps in groups, who does what or where this is going to happen, and you can use the branches for that. When you aren't clear on the necessary steps to reach your goal, or when there are a lot of moving pieces and you need to see how they all relate to each other.
When do we use the progress tree? Well, if we need to develop an idea or organize related thoughts. When we need to flesh out the in-between steps of a big plan. And when we want to have a visual artifact later on for our plan.
You can also use the progress tree in these kinds of situations. When you're creating a timeline, when you're exploring what parts of your idea are foundational and which are extensions, or when you're showing off a plan in an attractive manner or presentation.
The progress tree is just a tool that helps you figure out the steps you need to take to reach what your goal is.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This video was produced by the Creative Education Foundation in conjunction with the Chicago Student Invention Convention. You can find us at our websites, www.creativeeducationfoundation.org or www.chicagoinnovation.com. Our emails are here on the screen. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.